Nancy Bacon here. We're between sessions in our series, and I wanted to share some thoughts with you as you apply what you're learning. The theme of our series is how to design for deeper learning. And I thought I would share how I have used Will Tallheimer's lessons to deepen the learning in the trainings I've created. I have 3 ideas for you. First, I really appreciate how Will's work pushes us to think about what is acceptable in terms of what people learn. So, for example, here's a survey I've used for my board class. And I think of this person who came with no prior knowledge and they learned a good amount about boards. That's great. And then the third question we ask is always, how able are you to put what you've learned into practice? And I love that this person is able to take action on few of the lessons. So I think what is acceptable, they did learn something and they're able to take action. Here's a second example from the same survey, and we have somebody who came knowing a good amount about boards, and they learned a good amount about boards. So overall, that's good. I have thought about what would happen if they just learned something about boards. I would be okay with that. I would be okay. I would not be okay if they learned little to nothing. So in terms of determining what is acceptable, we figure out what that gap needs to be. But finally, that third question really helps to kind of triangulate the information. I'm able to take action on many of the lessons. So that's great. No matter what they learned, as long as they're able to take action, I'm feeling good about that. So my second thought is that this thinking about what is acceptable pushes us to think about the differences between learners and how we are framing what they should learn. My best example comes from my finance training. So here's an example of our workshop survey for a finance training. And again, we're doing that comparison. So think back about a week. How familiar were you with this topic? And then how much did you learn today? And of course, this is all determined by the learner. So we could measure it if we had more time, but this is their perception on learning. Now, there's always a CPA in the room. So this is somebody who, is expert in finance, and it's a little bit intimidating, to be perfectly honest, because I'm not a CPA. I'm just a nonprofit educator. And so when we have that kind of person, I need to make sure that they're still going to learn something. I don't want them sitting there thinking, oh, I knew all of this. I didn't learn a single thing. So it is quite common in these trainings that we have somebody who knows a lot about the topic and they learn something. So they learn a little bit, and that's great. But what's important to me is that we have framed what they need to learn. So this whole conversation has pushed me to think about the framing of the conversation. And here we have in this graphic, we have the different kinds of people who come to a finance training. We have people who know nothing. These are people who really prefer not to talk about math or money. And then we have those CPAs. We have those experts who know a lot. I like to frame the conversation right out of the gate that if you're new to finance, I hope you learn a few things, what you need to know in order to be on a nonprofit board. If you're an expert, a CPA or a bookkeeper or someone like that, I want you really listening for how might I bring this back to my board? So what do I do as an educator to show them, to model for them how we get more people involved in financial conversations? And of course, there's always some people in between who are doing a little bit of the what, a little bit of the how. But I frame this in advance so that they know what they should be listening for. I have a whole blog on this topic, so I'll make sure that you have a link to that as well. Finally, this whole Will Tallheimer evaluation learning transfer conversation really encourages us to think about performance. So we're evaluating to know if they did anything with this information. So with that, I love to ask this question about what are they going to need to do whatever we train them to do. So we can use this list to shape our learning strategy. Like any strategy, a learning strategy is simply the alignment of people, resources, and partners to move the needle on something. I do a lot of learning strategy work, and I'm excited to share more on the topic in December. For more information, you can visit my website, nancybacon.com/events. But the bottom line here is that we can ask in an evaluation what they need to take action on And then we can start to chip away at that list and find ways to make that list happen. We have one more session in the series. Jill LaPointe will be sharing her perspective on the First People's Principles of Learning on November 14th. I can't wait to learn alongside you. Please reach out if there's anything I can do to support you through our Design for Deeper Learning series. I'm so grateful to be in this community of practice with you. Thank you.